Okay, so we've all heard the term reverse psychology, right? But what if I told you it's way more than just a little trick to get your kids to eat their broccoli? Today, we're going to dive into its two fascinating sides, one for influencing others and a much more surprising one, for strengthening yourself.
Seriously, think about it for a second. That wet paint do not touch sign, suddenly it's the most tempting thing on the planet. Or when someone tells you that you can't have something, and all of a sudden, getting it becomes your #1 mission. So what is that? What's behind that little defiant spark inside all of us?
Well, that spark, that powerful urge to push back, it isn't just you being difficult. It's actually a core psychological principle, the very thing that makes this whole concept tick. You could almost call it a freedom instinct that's hardwired into us.
Now, there's a scientific name for this. It's called reactance. And according to social psychologist Professor Jeff Greenberg, this isn't just simple stubbornness. Nope. It's this passionate, deep-seated drive we all have to protect our freedom of choice whenever we feel like it's being threatened or taken away.
So, to put it really simply, when we feel like someone is trying to limit our options or box us in, our brain just sounds this internal alarm. We instinctively push back to reassert our independence, our autonomy. It's a fundamental part of who we are as human beings. But here's the thing. This feeling of reactance isn't exactly the same for everybody. Research suggests it can hit a lot harder in people who are already feeling a bit irritable or who are more emotional. And while really agreeable folks might be less affected, there's even some evidence that men might be slightly more prone to it, though the jury is still out on exactly why. Okay, so we have this powerful built-in instinct. Now let's get into the interesting part. How it gets used, sometimes consciously, sometimes not, to influence what other people do.
There are a few classic moves in the playbook here. First, you can challenge someone's ability, basically daring them to prove you wrong. Second, you can hint that something is scarce or super exclusive, which triggers that fear of missing out. Or you can go for the most direct approach of all, just forbid the action entirely. And that one? Well, that one can be seriously potent.
A perfect, and I mean perfect example of this is from Disney's Aladdin. Remember? He doesn't command the genie to get them out of the Cave of Wonders. No way. Instead, he challenges him. He says he probably can't even do it. And what happens? The genie's pride kicks in, his reactance goes into overdrive, and he proves Aladdin wrong. Which, by the way, got Aladdin a free wish. It's just a textbook case.
And once you start looking for it, you'll see these techniques literally everywhere. From a parent saying, "I bet you can't finish all your broccoli," to a salesperson suggesting a premium package might be a little too advanced for a client. Or a marketer creating this insane urgency with limited spots available. It's all playing on that exact same core instinct.
So, we've seen how this all works when it's used on other people, but what happens if we totally flip the script? What if the most powerful use of this whole concept has nothing to do with influencing other people at all?
I mean, really think about it. What if we took this idea and turned it completely inward? Instead of using it to get a reaction from someone else, what if we used it to manage our own reaction to them, especially when we're dealing with something like rejection?
This is where things get really interesting, because it brings us to a more stoic approach. In this view, rejection isn't some obstacle you have to trick someone out of. No, instead it becomes the actual fuel for your own personal growth. It's all about mastering your own reactance instead of trying to trigger someone else's. And right here, you can see the two faces of this concept, side by side. The external focus, that's all about trying to change their behavior. But the internal focus, that's about mastering your own reaction. One is about influence, the other is about independence.
So, what does this actually look like in practice? Well, it starts with staying calm, choosing not to have a big emotional reaction. Instead of trying to get their validation, you focus on demonstrating your own value through your actions. You might create some distance, not as a game, but to get your focus back on yourself. You pour all that energy into your own goals, your own happiness. And here's the most important part. You completely shift your motivation. It's no longer about proving them wrong. It's about proving to yourself what you're truly capable of.
Ultimately, what this perspective does is it reminds us that our self-worth is inherent. It's inside us. It's not something that's given to us by other people, and it sure can't be taken away by their indifference. That's a huge, powerful shift in mindset, from seeking approval to just embodying your own value.
All right, so we've got these two really powerful perspectives, the outward-facing art of influence and the inward path of resilience. So how do these two fit together in your personal toolkit?
Let's break it down. On one side, you have the influencer. Their goal is to persuade others. Their method? Leveraging reactance to get a desired action. But on the other side, you have the Stoic. Their goal is to strengthen themselves, and they do it by using rejection as a catalyst to build personal resilience. You see, when you really understand both sides of this coin, you have a truly comprehensive life strategy. You can better see when these techniques are being used on you, maybe use them ethically when you need to, and, this is the big one, learn to turn those moments of rejection into your absolute greatest opportunities for growth.
So, I'll leave you with this question. The next time a door closes in your face or someone tells you no, are you going to see it as an obstacle that just stops you in your tracks, or will you see it as a redirection, a chance to become an even stronger, more resilient version of yourself? The choice, as always, is yours.